Bless ye the I am, all ye servants of the I am, which by night stand in the house of the I am. Lift up your hands in the sanctuaries. Bless the I am. Bless the I am that made heaven and earth. Bless thee out of Zion. Psalms chapter 134. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forever more. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We thank God for you. We thank God for those of you. And with a hand clap of praise, yes, we thank God for those of you who have been with us since the beginning and those of you that have been with us here and there's about. And we thank God for those of you that have just subscribed. Yes, we do. And we thank God for those of you that are about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, we give God the glory and the praise, even for you. Yes. Now we're in the book of Judges. The book of Judges. Judge. What is a judge? A person that makes a judge. A person that makes an educated, should I say, surmisings of the deeds of others. That's a judge. In my own words. Not exactly but this is what I look at a judge as. God judges you. He uses, his rule is his law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. That's God's rule. These things is which by all men and angels shall be judged. Even those. Because you have to realize, even in the books that other people don't like or disagree with or find false or whatever, doesn't matter. But the fact is that God is going to judge you out of these books. He's going to judge you out of the book of, he judged the angels because the commandment was just straight to them. You will not have relations with these creations that I have made. No, you're not. You're not going to do it. But what evil thought have gotten into their hearts, we don't know. We want to know everything here. We, man, made a little lower than the angels. We want to know it all, although we ourselves are imperfect and we are not even striving for that perfection which is in the Most High, in His laws, commandments, statutes, and orders. How can we therefore judge anything if we do not strive toward these perfections and pleasing unto the Most High? Even Enoch, in all he did, he strived to please God, and that he did everything that he knew that God commanded. And God, he found favor in the sight of the Most High. Yes, he did. Didn't look to the left or the right, but whatever he was commanded, whatever God didn't like, he didn't like. What God loved, he loved. And this is the way we should be, even our brother and our sister. Yes. Judges chapter 4 is where we at. Judges chapter 4. And it reads, And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the I am when Ehud was dead. Ehud delivered them. God blessed Ehud to kill the king with the long shank of a knife in the disguise of that he had a message. Yes. And when that time was time for his demise, it's like they needed something to focus on. They couldn't focus on God himself and what he had written, even his 10 commandments that he'd written in stone with his own finger. Couldn't focus on something. We are, by default, we have made ourselves idolatrous. If I can't see it, if I can't touch it, words are nothing really to us unless we can prove those things. Words are nothing. But the fact is that the children of Israel, because Ehud died, Ehud was like a beacon unto them. I don't know how he was in the eyesight of the Most High as far as his obeying his statutes, commandments, and ordinances, but apparently God chose him to deliver them. And the I am sold them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan. God did this. God sold them in the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor. the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the I Am, for he had 900 chariots of iron. In other words, this man had some armament. They were afraid. See, this is why I say, when you hear me say, don't be afraid of these armaments that these nations have. They're nothing, really. They're really nothing. I mean, but there's something, because they're big and they can destroy many. But God has a way. God made everything. He made the earth, the seas, and everything in it. He made every element. Isn't he powerful enough to speak a word and it all dissolves away? Isn't he powerful enough that he could allow even Moses, Abram, who was thrown into a fire, just as the Hebrews, 3 Hebrew young men, and God delivered him out? Come on here. God's got a way. Even the fire doesn't even have control over or no authority over God. But he has authority over all things. Now, and the children of Israel cried to the I Am. Verse 3. He had 900 chariots of iron. 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. It's just like here in the U.S. and some parts of Africa and different other places where we are oppressed by supremacists of their color. We're oppressed by systematic racism. Oppressed by those who hate us by virtue because we don't look like you. You don't think we should be equal with you in the fact that we should make the same dollar. We should breathe the same breath. Some of you are so detesting of others, you would get us in a traffic stop just to find an excuse to demise us. Oh, yeah. Even the greed of leaders all over. Not only in Africa, here in the United States, our leaders, our top leaders. Greed. Thirsty of fame and glory and agenda-wise, globally. They call them globalists. Instead of thinking of the people, they think of themselves and their agenda. Yes. Because I'm going to let you know one thing. Politics and religion are the same things. Politics and religion are hand in hand. You can't have religion without politics, because religion is something that a person believes in. Don't necessarily have to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It could be anything. It could be eugenics, can be a religion. You see what I'm saying? And they incorporate these things, even corporations that have their agendas as to, we want to be the only one to strive toward this. We, seeking all kind of avenues to promote their prosperity and their sovereignty and corner the market and everything. I tell you, when your country is run by oligarchs, the people won't fare well. And this is what's happening in all countries. Oligarchs either directly or indirectly affecting the people in all the world as rich folk. Okay, now, and the children of Israel cried. And Deborah, verse 4. Deborah, okay, you women are going to have a good time with this. Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapideth. In other words, the woman is always known by her husband. God chose her. Maybe he chose her because she was most diligent in the things of the Most High. You see, woman, only way God will exalt you to this office here, even as a wife. Now, she wasn't just a wife that would shirk her duties to her husband. Oh, I'm saved and all this. You're so holy, you can't even have sex with your own husband. Something wrong with you. You're so saved you can't cook him a meal, but you in church all day. You so saved and you got God so much on your mind, you cannot even change the diaper of your babies or even go to the school with your children. That's how saved you are. Then you wind up, you be the biggest, statistically, yes, Christianity has the biggest divorce rate of all. Overall, yes. Now, And verse 5, and she dwelt under the palm tree. In other words, this is where she sat. When she got through with everything she did, now you have to realize she had to be smart before the Most High. But when she got through with everything, she did it. She maybe rose up in the morning, fixed her husband some food, and had dinner going and everything else. And she sat under the palm tree in her free time. Time that she had. Between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. In other words, she did her due diligence to study his laws, commandments, ordinances. In other words, they had to do judgment. In other words, it had to be, if you committed adultery, go sacrifice to the priest. If you did fornication, if you lied, if you have idols, go sacrifice, go give a peace offering to the Most High. As far as a murderer or anything like that, then that's just it. God doesn't deal with murderers. He doesn't deal with rapists. You just automatically, in Israel, the ancient Israel, you wasn't thrown in no jail. You was just deleted, period. God's not tolerating that mess. If you're an adulterer, a woman caught in adultery with another man, him and her, God's not going to throw you in jail. Israel, you are going to be deleted, period. Why would God do such a thing? That you might fear that you won't do it. That's why they do it. Why do criminals, why do they do evil things and terror? What is terrorism? So that you might fear not to come against them. Why do they terrorize you in a traffic stop? That you might fear not to come outside or don't want to go to work or get a phobia about something. So God did this. Murders will be demised upon the accusations of two witnesses. But the fact is, God was fair. If you were demised, you wouldn't know nothing about it. But either way, if you were put to death for any sin that you have committed, namely murder or rape or something like that, God will require the hand of your accusers. If He found that they were lying, then they would be deleted or executed as you were. If it was 2 or 3, both of them. See, this is where people were honest, that they might fear not to do such things. Even those who walked out of their gender, right on the spot, when they're caught in the act or found out that they were this way, not just by the hands of 2 or 3. This woman was found doing these acts out of their gender, out of marriage, with a dog or a horse or another same sex, put to death. So others might fear. I'm not going that way. God made me a man, I'm just going to stay a man. God made you a woman, you're going to stay a woman. That's the way it goes. That's the way God wants it. You pervert God's way. Let us continue. It says, and she dwelt under the palm tree. Now, verse 6. She sent. She told somebody, go bring me Barak. This woman was of great stature. She probably had her children were grown, probably at this time. She probably was an older woman. Not a widow, but she was an older woman. Children were grown, able to take care of themselves. And, her husband, up in age, he don't need much attention. He didn't care, probably, at this point. This is usually in life, that's the way it goes. Once a couple gets old, they get so used to each other. Each one doesn't do their thing, but they get to the point where the other one has something they like and the other one has something they like. And so they just let it be. And she said and called Barak, son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, have not the I am God of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun? And I will draw unto thee to the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army and his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thy hand. Now listen here, you captains of armies, you generals, and all these people, if you even count on the Most High, God sends you a word. This is why you pray. You can go up all you want to. It don't mean you're going to be successful. But the fact is, you go and God sends you a word. Whether he sends you a word through a baby, I don't care. God has no respect to persons. To tell you, go up, subdue these people. They're right over there. Or go and look at your surveillance. They're right there. Do away with them. I don't like them. See, God used men to do his work. He can even use Israel to do his work. But he can do it all by himself. It's not that he's helpless. No. In the least, less than nothing is what he says. He says, now, this is what God says. I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon, Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. God said, I'm going to cause this man to go the way that he shouldn't go. Now, he got all these chariots, big military might, but I'm going to deliver him in your hands, which have really much of nothing, but a few swords and some sticks. And Balak said unto her, if thou wilt go with me, I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. In other words, he knew that the I am was with this woman. Now, she had to tell her husband or ask her husband. Number one, her husband would not refuse God. No, he wouldn't. Not in those days. She would ask first. And God would touch his heart that he would go, that she should go. Because at that time, a woman had to ask her husband. It wasn't that you just, I'm going, because God said I'm going. No, you ask your husband. If that's the case. For the I am shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Listen. And Deborah rose and went to Balak to Kadesh. And Balak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh. And he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites, and pitched his tent in the plain of Zanaim, which is by Kadesh. And they showed Sisera that Barak the son of Abinoam was gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people were with him from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, up! For this is the day which the I am shall deliver Sisera into thy hands. Is not the I am gone out before thee? Didn't he say this? Did you not? Barak, don't you know that this woman is, her prophecies come to pass? She's just not prophesying of, should I say, of celebrities. She's not prophesying of this and that. She's prophesying to something that is killing our people. Demising our people. Causing our people to starve. This is how God uses prophets. Some of you women, you better get it right, because you're going to bust God's torment wide open. God said to me, and it was the scripture you read every day. Yeah, God said it to you, said it to everybody else too. Verse 14. He says now, she says, up. Now 15, here we go. And the I am discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak. So that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled on his feet. How did God do this? So you got the white man on the thing called, what was his name? The bald head guy. On these people that they call, it's leaving my mind. But anyway, you had the Wolverine and all these other people up there, and some of you might get it what I'm saying. And this white man, he had all mind. He was all mind. He controlled the mind. He was God. They would never let a black man be that way. God like that. Then next there was a white woman. She was God. She had power to control things. She was powerful, more powerful than the white man. See, these things they do, they can only do these things in the movies. But God is all that and then some, and more, much more than we can imagine. Yes. Now he says, but Barak pursued after the chariots, after the host, unto Hosheth of the Gentiles, and all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Eber. Now this is how God moves. He did something that caused this guy, Sisera, to flee. Now he went into the tent of Jael, and the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord. Turn in to me. Now this is English. They didn't speak like that. They were even far from it. Fear not. And when he had turned into her the tent, she covered him with a mantle. In other words, a blanket. That's a mantle. They used to wear blankets. You see the old movies where it looked like they had the hood and everything. It'd be a blanket. And they carry this blanket on their back all the time, because when they lay down at night in the woods, that's what they had. They had their mantle to lay on and use as a blanket. Not only between them and the earth, but also covering them up also. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her, see, this is where man is weak for the women. We don't look at woman as a threat in many cases. We don't look at women as a threat. And she covered him with a blanket, yes. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. And she wasn't doing nothing wrong then. And again she said unto her, Stand. She already knew. Now you have to realize this woman already knew what was going on. Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, say, Is there any man here? Thou shalt say no. In other words, don't say any man is here now. Now he wouldn't lay with her, because all of them knew the law of the Most High as far as adultery. And Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail. You talking about a nail in a short place? That's not what it meant, but this nail. Took the nail of the tent. This is a tent peg. She took a tent peg is what they're saying, not just a regular old nail that you hold. They didn't make those type of nails back then. And took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him. Oh, just as a woman would do. And you just, into her arms, huh? And she smote, I got you behind now. And the nail and smote the nail into his temple. In other words, she was for her people. And fastened it to the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, and so he died. In other words, the man had never woke up to see what happened. She didn't have a struggle. And this is how Satan gets a lot of you. It makes you feel at ease. Make you feel good, so you can fall. Not only fall asleep, but fall asleep that he might kill you. By keeping you from the commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High. But nevertheless. And so behold, Barak pursued Sisera. Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. Oh, is that so liberal? She didn't turn the other cheek. She didn't tiptoe through the tulips. When you have an oppressor, you can't cut him no slack. He's under his own oath, and he will not slack his hand to oppress you and eventually demise you and keep you down from where you are. You cannot do that, else you will lose every time. You play nice, yes. But when God had delivered your oppressor into your hands, you do what God had put in your heart with all your might. And only then will you be free. God teaches us how to subdue them, although he already makes the way to do it. So God subdued on that day Jabin, king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And it's not so much that when the children of the Most High come in power, those who have been of the oppressors, children of the oppressors, say, don't treat us like this, don't do this. It's not up to them to whether how they treat that person or not. It's God. And God say, take everything from the firstborn, newborn, and all the way up to the old ancient. Delete them all with no sympathy. It's what God means. Ain't no law enforcement gonna come after you. God have already delivered all into your hands, and He already took care of it. When He does this, everything is taken care of. But you got to believe Him first to take that first step. Either way. See, this is Old Testament talk. We ain't talking no New Testament slave talk. We ain't talking that. No, we ain't talking none of that. It ain't got nothing to do with God. That stuff is fictitious. Look up the Pisos. Type Pisos. The Pisos was the ones who are allegedly the ones who have made up the New Testament as we know it today. Jesus is a fake. Yahweh Shai is a fake. Look it up. Curry Mayo just had a 4-hour seminar on that. Just reading from the books of how the Pisos instituted and concocted what we have as the New Testament. Oh, buddy, you wonder. So God subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until he had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan. In other words, God is just saying, don't fear. Don't fear. Stop fearing. God wants to remove that oppressive spirit off you. He wants to remove that spirit of fear. See, some of you think that it's because of your bills and all this other stuff. No, it's your oppressor. He's trying to get you away from thinking about him, but to thinking about the situation that he's caused. Yes, I'm hollering. I shouldn't do that, but either way. Yes, I should. But either way, your oppressor caused it all. It's systematic racism, systematic this, systematic that. And you just tiptoe through the tulips and play your little thing. He comes and blows his little horn, and then what he does, he give you the 1994 crime bill, which he signed by the same person that is your commander-in-chief today. Foolish can you be? Designed for mass incarceration. It made a good book off of it. And prison industrial complex is doing great. Whether you accused falsely or you accused rightly. If you're accused rightly, you can go away. But if you're accused falsely, you know that and they know that. And then come back like the man 16 years of being falsely accused. Oh, we're sorry. Money can't pay for the time that you have on earth. This is what they do. Taking your time. The time that you can prosper, the time you can grow to the point where you're financially equal or even exceeded above them. They don't want this. This is why you're caught up in the courts. You're caught up in all these other things, traffic stops, and then you got to go here. You miss your job, and your job say you quit. They know what they're doing. They're going to get rid of you. They know in the long run that your Social Security payments are not going to be that much. If you're out of a job and in jail for a few months or a year or so, and you get out and you need Social Security, you're not going to have much money. This is all by design. The same thing. They pump up their people with their Social Security and all this stuff, and here they living not high on the hog, but they're living comfortably off just Social Security because they were able to work all their lives without being fired. Last hired, first fired. Think about it. This is all in cohesion with systematic racism. This is why you can't afford the houses. This is why you can't do this thing. You can't even vote, some of you. You can't even start a business. Jealousy. But I digress. And we're going to say if we get to the point where we do what God says and earnestly pray for his direction in many things, we will have peace.
Walk with me.